You've probably heard the term eating seasonally, but what exactly does that mean? In this live call today, I'm going to dive into what it means to eat seasonally versus locally, how this is great for the planet, for fighting climate change, for your personal diet, and for getting the most nutrition out of your food. And we're also going to talk about why it's so amazing to grow your own food. But hello, welcome back to Vegan Sunny. My name is Sunny. I am a cookbook author. My cookbook, the Vegan Swahili Cookbook, is available at veganswahili.com. I've been vegan for about 9 years. I'm a plant based chef. I'm passionate about community building and creating new systems and new ways of living intentionally and in harmony with our planet and the people and the animals who are here on this planet with us. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is gardening, and tie that into why it's so important to eat seasonally, eat locally, and really make sure we are honoring the earth with our food choices. So let me know in the comments or in the chat what seasonal eating means to you. And the reason why I really wanted to have this conversation today is because it is peak harvest season right now where I am in New York in the States. And it is so abundant right now. There are so many amazing fruits and vegetables and herbs and grains and all of these amazing foods that are harvested and that are just ready to be eaten right now from the earth. And that got me thinking a lot about preservation and fermenting and how we can preserve these foods to eat throughout the winter and what it means to really be mindful of the seasonal shifts of the planet and tune ourselves into those seasonal shifts as well. So let me know in the comments what your favorite seasonal foods are, if there's anything that you can only get certain times of the year. And one reason why it's important to think about seasonal eating that I'm going to touch on first is just price. So I'm sure you've noticed in the summer, tomatoes are incredibly cheap, and in the winter, it might be less so. And that's because of when these fruits or vegetables are harvested and when they are most easily accessible in your region. So if you ever notice that certain times of the year, some things like tomatoes are really cheap in the summer, but things like citrus, like oranges, might be really cheap in the winter, that's because they are the most abundant at that time. That's when they're harvested. That's when they're the most fresh. And that's when it's the best for not only your pocket and your bank account to eat them, but it's also when it's best for your body in terms of nutrition. And that's because food is the most nutritionally dense the closest it is to the earth. And what I mean by that is as soon as we pull it from the earth, pull it from that plant and harvest it, that is when there's the most nutritional content in that food. And I'm sure you've noticed with your own fruits and veggies as they change color, as they maybe start to shrivel up and dehydrate, as they maybe over time seem to shrink a little bit. That's not just the water content leaving the fruit, though it is that, but it also is the act of nutritional value being lost through time. So there's oxidation processes, there's other processes that our fruits go through, our vegetables go through when they're not connected to their life source, which is the plant that they grow from and the roots and the interconnectivity to the earth. But once we're pulling those from the earth, they immediately begin to lose nutritional value. So if I'm going to have a salad, the most nutritional salad I can possibly get is going to the garden, pulling the leaves from the earth, and immediately right after that, washing them and eating them. And the longer that we take to consume these foods, the less nutritional content they have. And one reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I really see that we are in a health crisis right now. The highest rates of preventable diet-related diseases that have ever been recorded are happening right now. Things like heart disease and diabetes and other diet-related illnesses, IBS, gastrointestinal issues, digestive issues. These are all things that all can be traced back to what we eat. And it's so important to recognize that the food that we're fueling our body with is the fuel that is making up our body. That's what's creating new cells and new life for us internally. That's what's helping our processes, our digestion, our heart, our lungs, our mind, our complete organism and system to function and to function in harmony. And when we're not eating the most optimal foods, struggling to process and digest and create the new cells that we need to. So I'm really, really passionate about optimally eating, about fueling our bodies really, really well and consciously optimally eating in terms of what we're eating, how we're eating it, when we're eating it. Is it seasonal? Is it not seasonal? And also really tuning into our inner self and asking, does this make me feel good or does this make me feel bad? And one thing that is really, really an indicator of maybe you need to take a step back from some of that food is any kind of internal inflammation. All major diseases can be traced back to inflammation in the body. And if we're eating foods that are creating more and more inflammation, that's going to put us at higher risk for any kind of disease. So for me personally, and for I believe it's about 60 to 70% of the world, I'm lactose intolerant. We are lactose intolerant. And yet I grew up eating a ton of dairy products, ice cream, pizza, cheese, all of it. And for years, I was living in this state of constant inflammation where I was constantly having digestive issues and constantly feeling fatigued. And all of these symptoms started to alleviate, started to lessen when I began to eat a whole foods plant-based diet. I've seen so many amazing shifts in my life, from turning around my insomnia to reversing my anemia to working to regulate my energy, my weight, my face, my skin. All of these things are really tied back to what we eat and how we eat. So just keep in mind that the foods that you're taking in may be causing some inflammation, and you want to make sure you are truly, truly fueling your body with love and compassion and care, and making sure that you are taking care of yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And if someone else is taking care of you, though, that's amazing. And I'm all about community and uplifting each other. But we do have to make sure we are pouring into our own cup first so that we can then pour into others. And a lot of that is making sure we have the energy, the stamina, the ability and endurance to be able to continue, especially those of us like me. And I know many of you are also passionate about creating a better world and a better future through art and activism and business and community and wellness and all of these things. But we have to take care of ourselves first. And a lot of that does come back to how we're eating, what we're eating, and how we are fueling our bodies. So I promise this all ties back into seasonal eating, but let me know in the comments, let me know in the chat, what's one thing that you've changed in your life, in your diet, in your habits, in your exercise routine, whatever it may be, that has been a game changer for you, because I'm definitely very, very curious. But to dive back into seasonal eating, it is truly the time to be thinking about what's in season, what do I want to eat in other seasons, and how can I make sure that I am able to through preservation. So I'm a big fan of preserving and canning and fermenting foods. I think that one of the most amazing things that we can do for our bodies is to make sure we're eating a lot of fermented food that's good bacteria, probiotics, and also making sure that we are truly honoring the earth and honoring the food from where it came from to how it's fueling our bodies. And I think really intentional practices of taking all of the tomatoes that you've harvested and making your own tomato sauce is such a huge, amazing, amazing way to create not only longevity for those crops and for those products, but also for me, it just gives me such an amazing sense of accomplishment. Like now, every time I make pasta throughout the winter, I'm making it through the food and products that I was able to actually bring together. So let me know in the comments if you have anything that you like to preserve, if there's any fruits like cherries, plums, peaches that you like to turn into jams or jellies, or let me know if there's anything else that you really love to preserve. And I do want to just touch on sustainability as well. If you support local farms or if you eat from your own community garden, that is huge, because in the food system, in the grocery store and supermarket and global food trade system, there are a lot of carbon emissions. There is a lot of energy that goes into flying food around the world, putting food on cargo ships and on other transportation vessels to get it from one part of the world to another. And if you're eating something that isn't in season where you live, it probably means it's coming from across the world. And maybe you're eating tomatoes in the winter and they're coming from across the world, but you could be eating tomato sauce from your garden that you canned a few months ago. So I just want us to start to be a little bit mindful about what we eat, how we eat, and where we can make any kinds of adjustments, even if you don't do it today. Just really starting to plant the seeds is my job and what I'm doing with this video, and I hope it resonates with you. I also do want to say that we need to make sure we are always supporting our local farmers and our local community gardens and our local co-ops and our local farm stands, because these are the people in our community who are working to create a more abundant, a more regenerative, a more healthy community. And it's so much better to support smaller organizations like these compared to the large multinational corporations who are also very extractive in many of their processes. And especially if you're buying fruits and vegetables from a grocery store that are harvested and put out by a large corporation, that might be a corporation that's also doing some animal agriculture that you don't agree with, or some other exploitative practices that you don't agree with. And your dollar really does count. How you are spending money when it comes to food or clothing or housing or whatever it may be is a reflection of what you are supporting in the world and in the future. So if you want to support systems of change, support systems that value art and creativity and humanity, then you might want to look into supporting the growers and farmers who are aligned with that movement. And definitely, right now is the season for squash, for corn, for tomatoes, for lots of herbs, for fresh leafy greens. And when we eat what's in season in abundance, we're going to be able to see the difference in our body and our energy and our skin. All of those really, really fresh, bioavailable nutrients are going to fuel us with so much good stuff. But just keep in mind that the best part of harvest season is coming very, very soon. I love pumpkin season. I love apple season. I love the fall because that's when so many of these other plants like corn or maize and beans really mature. We're going to get lots and lots more fresh veggies in the coming months. And that abundance, I believe, should culminate in preparing for the off season and making sure that you're buying and preserving foods or growing and preserving foods to the best of your abilities. Let me know your favorite preserving methods in the comments. I'll do a live preservation video sometime soon. Let me know what you want to see me preserve. And one other thing I want to touch on is meal prep. So I do have my meal prep master plan that you can get at vegansunny.com/meal prep. And I am so passionate about trying to cook a huge batch meal once a week and have that fuel your meals for the rest of the week and even longer if you freeze them. And I love using seasonal vegetables in my meal preps, and I can even put it in the freezer and eat it weeks or months from now. That just is one example of some of the many ways that we can use these fresh, delicious ingredients to fuel our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. Also, my Vegan Swahili cookbook has a ton of recipes. Many of these ingredients are going to be able to be produced locally wherever you are in the world. I tried to make it as accessible as possible. And they are so healthy. There's high protein, low carb recipes. There's lots of fruit-filled recipes. There's amazing sweets and cakes and salads and sauces and spices. And definitely check that book out, Vegan Swahili Cookbook. It's behind me. It's at veganswahili.com. It's on sale right now. The sale won't last though, so definitely make sure you get your copy. And let me know if there are any feelings that you have about the seasonal produce that I didn't touch on, because I think it's so important that we have these conversations and build community and continue to create the world that we want to see. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about my passion for seasonal eating. I can't wait to hear what you're passionate about. And let me know in the comments what your favorite fruit or vegetable is. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you can catch me on my next live. And I will see you next time.